The following story about this proposal followed by a revelation will make you pay closer attention to your personal relationships. Also, please like and subscribe to help in the channel's growth. Dude, you won't believe what happened to me. Sit down because this is a wild ride. So, after years of dating Sarah, I finally decided it was time to take the next step. We always had an incredible connection, and I was convinced she was the woman of my dreams. I planned everything: a romantic dinner at a restaurant we had always wanted to try, her favorite flowers, white lilies, and, of course, the ring. I was nervous but also excited. It was the moment I had always dreamed of. When I proposed to her, the expression on her face was indescribable. She smiled, tears in her eyes, and said yes. In that moment, everything felt perfect. I left the restaurant on cloud 9. I was sure we were about to start a new chapter together. I even imagined what our future would look like, the kids we would have, the house we would buy, and the trips we would take together. It all seemed so beautiful in my mind. That night, we got home and celebrated with a toast of wine. We talked about our plans and dreams, we discussed what our life together would be like and the places we still wanted to visit. The atmosphere was light and full of promises. I couldn't stop smiling as I looked at her, everything felt so right. But then came the next day. I woke up early, still wearing that goofy smile on my face. I went to make coffee and thought about how our life together would be. But something was bothering me. Sarah had left her phone on the table in the living room, and for some inexplicable reason, curiosity took over me. I know, invading your partner's privacy is wrong. But dude, I just couldn't resist. I picked up her phone and saw that she had several messages open on WhatsApp. My heart started racing. The messages were from a guy I vaguely knew, a mutual friend named Mike. They were exchanging very intimate messages, things I never imagined she would say to anyone else. My world collapsed in that instant. It felt like someone had pulled the rug out from under me. I couldn't believe what I was reading. The conversations were filled with flirts and promises that should never have left her lips. I remember feeling a knot in my throat and a mix of anger and sadness overwhelming me. The sensation was so intense that I could barely breathe. The first message I read said something like, "You know, I've always thought of you this way." My stomach churned. How could this be? This was way too intimate for just a friendship. And then I kept scrolling through the messages, each one more painful than the last. "When are you going to invite me out?" and "I miss you when you're not around." My heart raced as reality began to sink in. When she woke up, I didn't know how to act. I tried to stay calm, but the words came out like a hurricane. "Sarah, we need to talk." Her expression changed instantly when she saw my face. She knew something was wrong. I confronted her about the messages and watched as her expression shifted from surprise to guilt. She tried to justify herself by saying it was just a confusing phase in her life and that it didn't mean anything. But at that moment, all I could think was, how could you do this to me? The feeling of betrayal was so strong it felt like a knife stabbing my heart. The conversation was intense, each word felt like another stab in my chest. Sarah began to cry and pleaded for understanding, but I had reached a point where I could no longer hear her excuses. The desperation in her eyes only confused me more. At the same time that I wanted to comfort her, I felt an overwhelming anger at everything that had happened. After that intense and painful conversation, I decided to end things right there. It was hard, my heart was shattered into a million pieces. The thought of losing someone with whom I had shared so many good moments devastated me. I remembered all those trips we took together, that time we went to the beach and spent hours talking under the stars, and those sleepless nights discussing our dreams and fears. But it was in that moment of deep pain that I began to reflect on relationships and trust. I started questioning everything. Did I really know Sarah? Were all those promises true? This doubt began to gnaw at my mind. That's when I stumbled upon Red Pill, a concept that talks about understanding relationship dynamics in a more realistic and less romantic way. I started reading about it and realized how often we are blinded by love or by idealizing another person. I dove into books and videos on the subject. It was as if a light had been turned on in the darkness of my pain. In the following months, I immersed myself in self-discovery and self-worth. I learned the importance of setting healthy boundaries and understanding my own value before fully committing to someone again. I began attending online support groups where others shared similar experiences. This helped me tremendously. Every day, I rebuilt my self-esteem while learning more about myself. I started exercising more frequently, hitting the gym became part of my routine. And then there were dance classes, something I'd always wanted to do but never had the courage for. Dancing brought me joy and gave me a new perspective on how to relate to others. Additionally, I started hanging out more with old friends, those guys I'd lost touch with during my relationship with Sarah because I'd been so focused on her. Reconnecting with them was refreshing. The laughter and casual conversations helped me see how much I'd left behind because of blind love. One particularly impactful moment came when my buddy Lucas invited me to his birthday party. He's always been that fun-loving guy in our group, but I'd avoided going out much since breaking up with Sarah because I'd been so caught up in my pain over betrayal. However, this time around, I decided to go. I needed some distraction. And there, I met some new people. One of them was Julia, a girl full of positive energy. Julia was different. She had this light-hearted way of looking at things and spoke about her dreams with such passion. We talked for hours at that party, and it felt so good to be around someone like that again. Not gonna lie, there was an instant chemistry between us. But while part of me felt excited about this new connection, another part worried about getting hurt again after what happened with Sarah. In the days following the party, Julia and I continued chatting online until we decided to meet up for coffee the following week. It was amazing. Our conversation flowed naturally, we laughed so much together, something I'd not done in ages. But even while having fun, that lingering fear remained. Could I trust again? Could this new connection be real? Our meetings became more frequent. We started exploring new cafes around town together on Saturday afternoons while discussing our past lives, something important for both of us as we tried to understand our previous experiences before moving forward with something new. Julia showed herself understanding about my past. She never pressured anything or rushed things between us. This was crucial for me. It felt like starting fresh without external pressures or unrealistic expectations. As weeks went by, my confidence gradually returned as we got to know each other better. One day we decided to go see a romantic movie together, something completely outside my comfort zone after everything that happened. During the film, without thinking twice, I took her hand. It felt like such a simple yet significant gesture. After that movie date, our outings became regular. Romantic dinners became part of our routine as we explored new places together, from exotic restaurants to nature trails where we could talk uninterrupted. Time flew by as we built this new friendship based on mutual trust. Every day seemed to bring something new between us. I'll never forget that night when we stayed up late just talking about our hopes for the future. It was there that I realized how much I truly liked her. But even so, there were moments when my past resurfaced. Sometimes during trivial arguments or when discussing previous relationships did those old insecurities creep back in without warning. It was frustrating because while wanting to be completely open with Julia didn't want my insecurities ruining something beautiful. That's when I decided it was time for honesty with Julia about my fears, explained how my past experience affected my view on current relationships. She listened intently while sharing some insecurities of her own too. This created a safe space between us where we could talk openly without judgment. These days, although scars from my experience with Sarah remain fresh within me, they also come paired with newfound perspectives regarding relationships overall. Realizing now how crucial it is being cautious, valuing personal happiness above all else while striving towards building healthy connections rooted firmly within trust. And you know what's most interesting? Over time I've come to understand how this whole experience has made me stronger, wiser regarding what kind of relationship truly desires moving forward. Learning now: listen closely, instincts recognize warning signs before getting emotionally involved again. So that's it. Sometimes things don't go as planned, but every experience teaches us something valuable about ourselves, others around us too. Who knows? Maybe one day I'll find someone who truly deserves love without secrets, betrayals. Share your thoughts on the comments section and don't forget to follow for more videos like this one.